My best guy friend just told me he's in love with me 2 days before my wedding. I've been with my fiancé for 3 years, engaged for a little over a year. My best friend and I have known each other since freshman year of college. We are all in our early 30s. This morning, I woke up to a long-ass text from my guy best friend that he had sent around 6 a.m. Basically, it was him pouring his heart out. He said he's been in love with me for years, but always hoped I'd end up breaking up with my fiancé and finally noticing him. He asked me to call off the wedding and run away with him. It said, I needed to tell you before it was too late. I just feel gross and sad. I have no feelings for him beyond platonic love. I've drafted a response and deleted it over and over. I haven't even told my fiancé. I don't want him to have to worry about me so soon before our wedding. I know I need to, but I don't know what to do or how to phrase it. What's worse is that he's become my fiancé's friend, too. I'm also pretty pissed that my friend chose such an unfortunate time to cause me such distress. There were so many times over the years he could have just bucked up and told me how he felt. But waiting until right before I'm married. Like I would just cancel my wedding and leave my fiancé because of a goddamn text. I want to tell him to not come to the wedding. I can't trust that he wouldn't try to pull something. I don't even know if I want to talk to him again. But the thought of losing my best friend is heartbreaking. Hell, the thought of not having him at my wedding is really painful. He's put me in an uncomfortable, impossible situation. I wish it wasn't on me to deal with his feelings for him. I wish he had either stopped being friends with me when he realized us ending up together would never happen, or had told me a while ago. I don't want to kick him while he's down, but I need to make it clear that I have no feelings, the wedding is still on, and I don't want him to attend. We have been friends for over a decade. I've been crying over this all day. I feel almost disgusted, knowing that this whole time he had ulterior motives. How do I even go about dealing with this? I'm supposed to get married in under 48 hours. I'll be showing the text to my fiancé after he gets home from his brother's. I won't send anything until he's here with me. Update 1. My husband, I love being able to say that now when I got back from our honeymoon yesterday. I turned on my phone and opened the Reddit app and it was still signed into this account, so I had an oh yeah moment and figured I'd post an update. So a lot of people here really helped validate the icky mess of feelings I was having. Thank you for that. Posting here really helped put my thoughts into words. So that night my fiancé got home from his brother's. I let him sit down and then I showed him the text. He read it and I watched his eyes get bigger and his expression angrier. Of course, I started apologizing like an idiot and he told me I didn't owe him an apology for anything. We talked and he told me he figured the guy had a crush but kept it respectful. And really, he had. We were close, but beyond a side hug during greetings and goodbyes, there was no physicality. I even let him read out past messages just to see that there was no emotional affair or me leading him on. I never even vented about my fiancé when we would have arguments because I knew better than to do that. I'd talk to my mom, lol. So my fiancé asked me what I wanted to do. And I said that while it did sadden me, I didn't want him at our wedding. I was afraid that he would try some nonsense. We typed up a very brief message. It said, I'm sorry that you mistook my friendship for something more. The wedding is going to happen, and it'd be best if you didn't attend. To be clear, I let read this message and he stands by my decision to uninvite you. We wanted to make it clear that it was me who wanted him to not come, not just my fiancé. Knowing him, he'd probably claim that fiancé forced me to uninvite him. He read the message and left it on read for a while. I honestly started getting pretty anxious over it and fiancé asked if I wanted to block him. Part of me wanted to, and part of me wanted to hear him out. And when he finally responded, the text was so long that I had to click on it to read it. It was horrible. He called me a liar for leading him on for over a decade, that he hoped my fiancé left me and that we were infertile. It was just horrible thing after horrible thing and I started crying. Fiancé took my phone into the other room while I sobbed. I think he called him, but I'm not sure. What I do know is after about an hour he came back in. Handed me my phone back and told me that friend was now blocked on everything, would not be attending, and the best man and my maid of honor knew of the situation and would handle it for me. It was like a weight lifted off of my shoulders, honestly. After reading that message, I really wasn't so sad that friend wouldn't be attending anymore. And our wedding fucking rocked. We had the time of our lives, surrounded by people who loved us and we loved them. It still feels like a dream, to be honest. And if friend tried to show up, I never heard anything of it. I guess that's the update. It's not nearly as dramatic and crazy as what people hoped for, I feel like, but I'm happy. Now let's see what the community has to say. Opinion number 1 says, you were engaged to someone else but he thought you were leading him on. Probably a good thing he showed his true colors. Makes losing from your life an easy decision with no guilt. Opinion number 2 says, as someone who has had feelings for a friend and never moved to a romantic level, this dude fucking sucks. They've known each other for years and he decides to shoot his shot right before her wedding. And then his reaction when she told him she didn't think of him that way. Gross. Beyond gross. If you actually love someone, truly love them, then you want them to be happy no matter what. You want to be in their life and have them as your friend and talk to them and laugh with them and cheer them on at all the good moments in their life and be there to support them during the down times. You don't throw away that kind of friendship with someone just because they won't fuck you. If you genuinely love them, that is. This dude is just a selfish ass who gives off clear incel vibes, and OP is completely right to yeet him the fuck out of her life. Opinion number 3 says, what a selfish narcissistic thing to do to someone you've been pretending to be a friend to for a decade. And they knew each other before she got with her current fiancé, so at some point, this guy had the opportunities to speak up. And never did. Nah man, this guy didn't love OP. He simply saw her as a story point to his starring role in his life, and when the editing department came back saying that part of the script isn't going to happen, he pitched a fit. It's scary that people can be this delusional. Both my current husband and I had people pull this crap on us, and we just put it down to being the same impulse a little kid has when they have a toy they don't really ever notice until another kid picks it up. Then suddenly it's valuable. It was more about their imaginary lost opportunity than any real emotion or love, or they wouldn't have been so selfish in the first place. How about you guys? What do you guys think about this whole situation, and what would your advice be for OP? Let's all discuss in the comments section below. My boyfriend has a coworker who makes sexual comments to him, enough that his employees seem to think they have a thing, and I can't get him to understand why it bothers me that he hasn't set boundaries with her. Am I overreacting? My boyfriend Ron, a 37-year-old male, and I, a 27-year-old female, have been dating for about 6 months. He's a manager at the company we both work for, but we work in different departments. I want to start this off by saying I don't believe he has ever cheated on me or that he ever would cheat on me. He has never given me any reason to doubt him. I think the issue here is really with his ability to set boundaries with female coworkers who act inappropriately toward him, and I can't figure out how to get him to understand that. And maybe I'm being a little too over-worried about it. But I'd like some feedback on the whole situation from you guys. So I guess the first thing that happened that made me kind of disconcerted was about 2 months ago or so. There is a woman in my department named Denise. She's on her 40s who is generally the type of person to start trouble. She likes to talk about people behind their backs and tries her best to underhandedly make you feel insecure. Think Regina George from Mean Girls, but 40 years old. Denise started to flirt with Ron when I was around. Very small things, like excitedly yelling out his name when he came in the room or being overly giggly or touchy around him. These things are very innocuous on their own. But Denise is nothing like this around other male coworkers or even female coworkers. I guess that's what stuck out to me, the fact that it was over the top for her and just different than her normal behavior. Ron definitely didn't flirt back. He was just friendly and professional with her. I never said anything about it to Ron, although I was thinking about saying something if she kept doing it, because her behavior was so mild and didn't really bother me. I guess I just kind of took note of it and thought, does he not realize she's flirting? Is that why he's not shutting it down, even in a polite way? I guess Denise is just trying to cause drama and make me jealous. And she did eventually stop after a few weeks, most likely because I didn't react to it. The situation that caused me to write this post happened today. Ron is about to go visit his parents for a week, so we were hanging out at my house before he had to leave. His department has been short on people lately, so he's been calling employees at other locations to see if they'd work at his location while he is on vacation. One of the employees is a woman named Brandy, 25 Fahrenheit. Just a quick backstory, Ron and Brandy worked together when he managed a different location. Apparently, Brandy can be very crude and inappropriate at work. About 3 months ago, Brandy stopped by our building on my day off and spoke to Ron. I'm not sure what they spoke about, but according to him, their conversations generally are very casual, mainly about work and things going on in their lives. But as soon as Brandy left, Ron's employees started saying things to him like, "Man, you better not let your girlfriend know Brandy was here, or better be quick. Your girlfriend could walk around the corner any second." I know this because Ron came to my house to see me after he got off work and immediately told me about it so I wouldn't hear it from someone else and think he was hiding anything from me. And that's something I truly appreciate, and is another reason I wouldn't think he's intentionally being inappropriate with Brandy. However, the fact that his employees said that to him but never said anything about him about Denise, who was actually flirting with him, stuck out to me when I thought about it today. So on to the thing that happened today. Ron got a call from an unsaved number on his phone while we were watching TV. I asked who it was and he said, "Oh, it's Brandy." I muted the TV so he could answer it and speak to her. As I was laying there next to him, I could hear their conversation. It was mostly just talking about her coming to cover some shifts at our location. There was a little bit of inappropriate stuff, like about her talking about wanting to go out of town this weekend and get fucking wasted. But a few things stood out to me. First was he asked her to come in on 2 certain days and she said sure, then paused and asked, "Wait, are you going to be there those days?" With a kind of flirtatious tone. Kind of weird, but okay. The second, and to me the biggest thing, was the fact that he was clearly incredibly nervous talking to her. He was being very scatterbrained and stuttering or mixing up his words a lot. And he was holding my hand while they were talking and he was fidgeting with it like crazy, bending my fingers and rubbing my skin raw. It got to the point where it was hurting my hand, so I tried pulling away a little or clenching my fists so he couldn't rub my fingers. But he seemed totally oblivious and would pry my fingers apart to fiddle with them. I've never seen him that nervous, even when our company's district manager shows up unannounced. The last thing was when I heard her ask, "Hey, what are you doing tonight?" And he said while stuttering a little, "I'm just about to watch some TV." Maybe just a minor thing, but I guess the fact that this phone conversation with her was already making me feel kind of off. But I started wondering why he didn't say anything about hanging out with me. I'm sure she knows he's in a relationship because she liked a photo he posted of us on Facebook. And his relationship status isn't set to private. I guess because the whole point of the night was seeing each other before he left for a week. It just stood out that he just said watching TV. Plus she brought up the wanting to get wasted thing after asking him that, so it made me think, wait, is she asking him to go out or something? When I asked him about it when we discussed it later, he said she actually said, "What are you doing right now?" Which I guess is a little less flirty. So it's possible I misheard her, but still. So when he got off the phone, I told him it kind of made me uncomfortable and I wanted to talk about it. I brought up the fact that he was fiddling so much with my hand and he was clearly nervous talking to her. And he said it was because he was worried I'd get upset at hearing them talk or respond to it in an overly jealous way to it. And I don't think I've ever been overly jealous or anything. I don't ask to read his text or go through his phone. I've told him twice in the past. Once when his ex contacted him to ask for some of her things back from his house, and then again when he came home that one night telling me about the way his employees were busting his balls about him and Brandy. That he has never given me any reason to doubt him, and I never believed in either of those situations that there was anything inappropriate going on. When I asked him why he thought I'd be overly jealous at hearing them talk considering I haven't been that way to him before, he said it was because he was worried she might say something inappropriate that might upset me. I made sure to make it clear to him that I still didn't believe he was cheating on me or anything like that, but I wanted to know what kind of things he was worried she might say. Because in my mind, if someone I have a work platonic relationship with said something to me that made me think, oh no, my boyfriend would be so upset if he heard that, I hope he didn't hear them say that, I would immediately shut it down. That's how I view relationships. It's up to each of us to recognize when someone outside the relationship is pushing the boundaries and make sure to make it clear to them that some things are inappropriate to say or do to us because we're in a relationship. Even if one of my coworkers said something inappropriately sexual to me and it didn't bother me personally, it would automatically bother me if my boyfriend thought it was inappropriate. And I would make sure he didn't say anything like that to me again because I value our relationship and want to respect his feelings. So as for the things he was worried she might say, he said she tends to make a lot of sexual comments or jokes and has said things to him like, "Wow, glad you wore those pants today. They make your ass look good." As far as I know, she hasn't said anything like the ass comment since he and I have started dating. But she apparently does still say at least some inappropriate things around and to him because I believe that's why his employees were busting his balls about her that one day. Now to me, sexually inappropriate things or ass comments are definitely not okay when I'm in a relationship, especially coming from someone he works with from time to time. I explained that to him and tried to tell him that even if it doesn't bother him, it bothers me and I wish he would understand why and make sure to set boundaries with her. His response was that what she says doesn't bother him or offend him. And it also doesn't bother him that his employees might think that he's doing something inappropriate with her because he isn't doing anything inappropriate. And he's told them he isn't. I told him that it bothers me if they think that because it's disrespectful to our relationship. I get so embarrassed when I walk through his department and happen to run across one of his employees because I wonder if they're looking at me differently and wondering if I know about Ron and Brandy's thing. I feel like I just can't get him to understand how I feel. I tried hypothetically switching the situation and asking if he'd be bothered if what Brandy is doing to him, a male coworker, was doing to me. He said he would be bothered. So I told him that that's how I feel. Even if a male coworker said something to me that was sexually inappropriate but didn't personally offend me, if my boyfriend made it clear that it bothered him, then I would be bothered by it and would make sure it stopped. In the end, he said he would talk to her and make sure she kept it professional. But I'm worried he may not do it because he seemed aggravated by the whole discussion and was still saying he didn't think it should bother me because he's not cheating. I'm actually not sure how he acts around her when I'm not around, but I honestly think he's acting in some way that would lead other people to believe he might have a thing for her. Whether he's being nervous or whether it's a combination of her saying sexual things and him not shutting them down, I don't know because I've never seen them interact. This phone call was the first time I've experienced it. I guess what I'm wanting advice on is this. 1. Am I overreacting? I'm probably the queen of overthinking things, so I would believe it if it seems to you guys like I am. It's hard for me to tell on my own, so it'd be good to get perspective from a neutral party. 2. Is there a better way for me to explain how I feel to him and get him to understand that just because he's not cheating on me, that doesn't mean his behavior isn't wrong? He gets defensive and says he's not doing anything wrong, and I try to explain that his lack of action with her is actually doing something wrong in my eyes. TLDR, my boyfriend has an employee that has made sexual comments toward him in the past and might still be doing it now when they work together. I can't get him to understand why it bothers me that he's allowing it to happen. Am I overreacting to the situation? Is there a better way to explain to him how I feel? Now let's see what the community has to say. Opinion number 1 says, besides agreeing with the other comments that he doesn't want it to stop because he enjoys the attention, you should both think about it from a professional perspective. Obviously, people at work are already talking, and it's extremely foolish of him to not care if his coworkers think he's doing something inappropriate. Causing workplace drama won't look good to his superiors, and if he's in a higher position than she is, he could face sexual harassment or creating a hostile workplace accusations if anyone reports him to HR or his boss. Older male boss acting inappropriate with younger female employee. That's the sort of thing that people get fired over every day. Where OP replied, I agree. He thinks of it as something that doesn't bother him just because he generally doesn't care what other people think about him. But I don't think he's considering the way the company might see it if rumors about the two of them started and they thought something was up. Opinion number 2 says, the fact that he was extremely nervous on the phone talking to her was weird enough. But that he didn't say watching TV with you or hanging out with you was very, very weird. Your spidey sense is going off for a reason. Where OP replied, yeah, that did bother me. He doesn't try to hide me in general or on Facebook, but when he was put on the spot on the phone, he didn't say anything about me. It could just be a coincidence or it could be a subconscious sign of something more, but I don't really know. Opinion number 3 says, on the topic of gaslighting, he told OP she misheard Brandy's question about what he was doing. Maybe she did, or maybe it was gaslighting. It'd be textbook if it was. He may be a good guy who hates confrontation, or he may be an abuser who is lying to OP and cheating on her while gaslighting her about it. Maybe his coworkers even actually do know something is going on. Good luck, OP. I can't tell you anything about your situation for certain. We all overthink things sometimes, and it could just be that. I hope it all works out for you. Where OP replied, when I really try to think about it neutrally, I think it's possible he's both being unconfrontational toward her and trying to twist the blame on me a little. No matter how hard I try, I can't describe him to Reddit to make you guys know him as well as I know him. And I have been in a mentally abusive relationship before with a lot of gaslighting, so I try to be perceptive of those things. But I know Ron is a guy who is nice to everyone and doesn't like confrontation if he can avoid it. I think he definitely knows that whatever is going on between them is something that would bother me, which is a huge red flag for me that he let it continue.